The Packers got to heal up. Cooper Kupp is fully back to being Cooper Kupp. We had injuries, hopefully most of them minor. The Browns upset the Niners, and the era of undefeated teams is up. Welcome to the Mishpo. Welcome everybody to the week 6 episode of the Mishpo. It was a little bit of a rough intro there. I'm a bit tired today, so again, it is just me. Um, you know, I don't make the rules, but yeah, today is just me. And I do just have water today, so we got my good old bubble jug here. So I'm gonna take a quick sip, and funny enough, right after I mentioned that there were not very many trades in this league so far, two were made in quick succession. Um, so, firstly, well, guys, we'll just jump right into that. I traded Tyler Lockett and Deonta Foreman to Fiala for Zach Ertz and Chuba Hubbard. Obviously, Tyler Lockett, I think, is the best player in the trade. I really like Tyler Lockett, but he had been a bit down, playing a bit down as to what he should be, when I'm used to him doing. And I kind of was looking for a tight end upgrade, and Miles Sanders handcuff to be starter this upcoming week. So I was happy with Chuba. Zach Ertz didn't really do as well as I hoped, but brighter days ahead for him. Donta Foreman was nice for Fial because he has um, Roshan, so he had that backfield set for this past week, and then obviously Tyler Lockett is, like I mentioned, a very solid receiver. So I feel like last week was maybe a bit of a wash. Maybe leaning a bit towards Fiala with Tyler Lockett's production compared to Zach Ertz. Chuba outscored Deontay. I don't have the numbers in front of me at the moment, but I think maybe going forward it might favor me a bit more. I don't know how much Deontay is going to be involved now that Roshan is back fully healthy. And Chuba could continue to see more work. He'd slowly been getting increased work in the last couple of weeks. They are on bye this week, the Carolina Panthers. And so coming back, we'll see how the timeshare is broken up between Miles and Chuba. And I have both, so that could make it a good situation and a bad situation because I might not know who to play. So that was that trade. And then T Corn traded Kareem Hunt to Fiala for Traylon Burks and Jameson Williams. Um, if in a vacuum, which is all I'm looking at this because I don't have the teams in front of me at the moment. I would probably pick the Traylon Burks and Jameson Williams side. Kareem Hunt is maybe going to be the starter over there in Cleveland. Obviously, he was just kind of signed after the Chubb injury. Jerome Ford had been getting the lead back work, but he hasn't been super great the last couple of weeks. And obviously, Kareem Hunt is used to that system. And so he could definitely get an increased role over there in Cleveland. And then Traylon Burks and Jameson Williams, both young receivers. Um, Jameson had that long touchdown, which is seemingly all he can do. So, he could still, and it was only his second week back, I believe. So we'll see if he can get more integrated into that offense in Detroit. And then Traylon Burks, again, similar situation. He has been there, on and off, but injured this season. I do like him quite a bit as a player. Had him at the end of last season when he was healthy, and he played quite well. So if he can, return to healthiness, obviously there's DeAndre Hopkins in front of him there. And I'm not quite sure if that Tennessee passing offense can support two receivers, but you know, could potentially down the line. And so I guess if I had to pick here, I'd probably pick the receivers side, the side that T-Corn received. But Kareem Hunt could end up being the best player out of these three, depending on how the season shakes out for the rest of them. So, all in all, I think Fiala made two pretty good trades, and I think Tikon and I also made some pretty good trades. And the season ahead will, kind of determine the overall standings of all of that. So, all right, we will jump into the recap from last week. And I was just doing a little bit of look seeing at some of the analytics of my videos for the Mishpo. and I did notice that people kind of drop off a lot during this section, the recap section. And so I'm going to try to be very, very brief with this and kind of get to the other more interesting stuff because everyone knows what happened last week. So we'll just start off with me versus Adam here. I was hopeful to start the week. And then the noon games ended and the other games started, and I had a couple injuries with McCaffrey and Justin Fields, which kind of led to DJ Moore not having a great game. But also Fiala just had some great performances, or not Fiala. Adam had some great performances. Um, Obviously Raheem Mostert did great, and some other guys in there, AJ Brown. But Adam got the. I was happy with how I mean, I was all right, I guess. Obviously, not great to be in a 2-game losing streak, 3-game losing streak, but we'll bounce back hopefully and get some health back on this team. So Adam got the victory in that one over me. Next matchup, pretty high scoring. Michael versus Matt. This one's a bit closer. Man, Matt just really cannot catch a break here. But Michael is the highest scoring team in the league or on the season, so it's not surprising that he had a great game again. I mean, there's really just not much you can do about Michael's team here, undefeated on the season. Great stuff performance wise from him. A little bit of a down week from Gabe Davis, 2.1, but I'm on a bounce back with 30 points. But, obviously, and Matt scored some pretty good points as well across the board. Just really unfortunate the way things shook out for Matt, and he ended up losing to Michael in that matchup. Next up, we have T Corn versus Abby. This one is a bit of a bigger blowout than me versus Adam by a few points. And T Corn was on the winning side here. Abby did have some solid performances from Tua, Saquon. Both of those guys had fairly good. Brandon Cooks for what he had been doing throughout the season, not too bad. And then also Rashid Rice and their Vegas defense, but other than that, not super great. And T Corn's team, like I said, just went off. Cooper Cup went off. CD Lamb. Christian Kirk, not too bad stuff from him. Brees, and Herbert did pretty solid. So good stuff all around for T Corn. Moving up on the rankings, 4-2 now. So I believe he's right up there for taking that spot against Michael, but still 2 games back. So moving on to Sam versus State. This one was a lot closer. A difference of about 10 here. So again, you got some solid performances. Derrick Henry continues to be good after what seemed like a bit of a down start to the season. Swift just again continues to be good. Waddle. Tyler Boyd finally had some good stuff with the touchdown there and the 7 receptions. So pretty good. We'll see if he can build on that. T. Higgins was a bit hurt, as Sam probably knows, because he also has him on his team. Not sure if he started him. He did 4 points only for T. Higgins. So I'm sure that will kind of balance itself out once T gets a bit more healthy. But yeah, some solid stuff. TJ Hawkinson again continues to be really good. 11 points from him, currently tied on 3. So fun matchup there, pretty close. But this next one, not that close at all, which is Fiala versus Colin. A difference here of about 50 points. So that's always fun for one person. So Travis Etienne has been on fire, I feel like, the last couple weeks. He's currently the running back 3 on the season. Yeah, the last 2 weeks, he's scored 36.4 and 23.3. Also on the season, having 21.4, 17.8. 10.2 isn't too bad, but, he's just been so good this season. Mentioned Deonta Foreman. He had 6.7 only. So if we go check out how Chuba did, he had 16. So 10 more points from Chuba. So that was nice for me. But yeah, I mean, Travis Kelce also still very good. Tyler Lockett, newly acquired, mentioned 15 points for. So pretty good stuff from him. Fiala's just got some very solid pass catchers also with Pittman scoring 19.9 and Chris Olave 16. So very good stuff across the board here for Fiala. Not so much for Colin. Couple guys here not even cracking 3 points. Expecting some of them to do that. Eckler had an all right game, 10.2. Obviously, you're probably hoping for a lot more. And Lamar Jackson also not super great compared to what you were wanting from him. So Fiala got the victory here. Moving us on to Bruce versus Caleb, another not so close matchup. 40 points about separates the two teams here. It's pretty solid stuff. Dalvin Cook has not been great this season. I bet you he's been not fun to start for you, Caleb. I'm sure you had guys on bye. There's no way you would be. Well, Khalil Herbert is injured, but you may want to look to try to improve that RB2 spot for you. You can wait a week or two if you want, but Dalvin Cook not looking too great for you. Jamar Chase had a bit of a down week after his elite week the week prior, and the rest of the scores just kind of pedestrian. The Eagles defense did do pretty good, 18 or 8.7, and then over on Bruce's side, pretty solid stuff. Tony Pollard continues to be great. Drake London finally showing up. He's been pretty good last 3 weeks, all in double digits. So he's been doing some good work lately. Dalton Schultz and Amari Cooper both doing some solid work. And then the Rams defense. Bruce ended up, like I said, getting the victory here by about 40 points. And then we move on to the last matchup of the week, Lincoln versus Brian. Brian on a 2-game losing streak. Lincoln getting that dub to go back to 500. And he pointed out in the chat so eloquently that it is he got the most points on the week. So good job, Lincoln. Dak Prescott actually had a pretty solid game. So good stuff from him. Zach Moss continues to be pretty good. We'll see when that falls off. But, I would probably start him again. He's been doing good. Kyle Pitts continues to be startable, which is not something you could say before. And then Adam Thielen, what a freaking guy. My gosh, he's just blowing everybody's balls off right now. So over on the other side, there were some decent performances. I think, Kamara was pretty decent. 17.4 from him since he's come back. That was his lowest total, but 17.4. I'll take that any day from my running back. So Lincoln destroyed Brian by about 70 here. And that was last week's matchups. Before we jump into this upcoming week, we will first run through the power rankings. And that goes as follows. At 14, we have Sam, 13, Abby, 12, Colin, 11, Matt, 10, State, 9, Lincoln, 8, myself, 7, Bruce, 6, Caleb, 5, Brian, 4, T-Corn, 3, Fiala, 2, Adam, and number 1, we have Michael. And so now we'll move into week 7 matchups. And if you don't remember, this week is rivalry week. So most of these matchups are based off of rivals, and they were determined either it's either one of 3 things. You used to be roommates. You both captained the Ultimate Frisbee GB team together at one point. Oh, I guess 2 or 4 things. You live out of town in the case of Adam versus Fiala. Couldn't really think of anything there, so we just put out of towners. Or you're married in the case of Abby and State Farm. So it should be pretty fun week. Lots of fun storylines going on here. And we will first jump into my matchup versus Caleb. Both of us very clearly have some spots to fill. Obviously, I'm down my quarterback. I'm sure he won't play this week, so I will be obviously picking one up. And then as for buys, I've got Chuba, and I've got three Panthers. So Jonathan Mingo as well, and then obviously Miles Sanders. And Caleb also has some buys. Dalvin Cook, which is probably for the better for him. But Jamar Chase obviously is very good, and then Michael Gallup is pretty good. You probably want to start him. So you will be probably starting Mike Evans because he'll be probably returning. But this maybe might turn out to be a very sad matchup Neither of us currently projected over 72 points, which is very quite low for this league, as we all know. But obviously, we will be filling in those spots. I will just Caleb's got to fill 3 spots here: running back, receiver, and a flex. So we can, I think, assume it'll be Keandre Miller, Mike Evans, and Khalif Raymond, maybe. Obviously, he um, can make some waiver claims, so we'll see how that goes for him. And then for me, I really just need to pick up a quarterback. Not really sure who I'm going to be picking up, but I could be making some claims as well. And actually, by the time you're watching this, waivers will have run. So, like I said, I'm not sure who I'll be picking up. I do have waiver claims in for a number of running backs at the moment. Not sure who I will get. Elijah Mitchell's out there. Um, the Rams guy, I can't quite remember his name. The Lions dude. So there's a couple guys I'm hoping to potentially get because I'm not super comfortable with Zach Charbonnet in my lineup here. So I will be picking myself regardless. I do think I will win here. And again, I'm not going to not pick myself. So I would really like this win. Kind of even things up with me and Caleb here and keep myself alive for the playoffs. Moving us on to the married couple in State versus Abby. Right off the bat here, we've got Joe Burrow on a bye. So, Sam's going to be hurting as he's got a couple of Cincinnati Bengals on his team. Speaking of Bengals, Abby has Joe Mixon on bye. And then there's also Brandon Cooks for Abby. And Rico Dowdle. Probably, I'm not sure if you would have played him, but not looking super great on the bench here also. So, this one might be a bit. I feel like this week might be rough for a lot of people with the injuries and the bye weeks, and it's a pretty important week, I would say, with rivalry week and all. So, but just kind of looking at what we've got here, it's looking pretty rough out there. Not gonna lie, but we do have some solid players. Obviously, tight ends here are pretty good. Mark Andrews, George Kittle, and then Debo and Jalen Waddle are both some very good players. This is. I feel like this could be a toss up, but I'm gonna go Abby here. I feel like she's got. I feel like she's got a. She's not quite. Well, I guess she's hit pretty bad with the bye week stuff, but I have faith that she'll figure it out. Obviously Derrick Henry for State over here too. So yeah, I'm gonna go Abby on this one. It might be the wrong decision, but it's what I feel in my heart. So you can never be wrong when you go with your heart right. So next up are out of towners, Fiala versus Adam. Both teams 4-2. So this is quite the matchup. It's looking could be very I believe are these two the leaders in the current standings for the youngsters division. Yes, these are our top two youngsters. So this will decide the first place team. So that's very exciting. We got some decent quarterbacks here in terms of fantasy output. Josh Allen had a bit of a down game, I believe, last week. So Kirk had only about 6 or so not great. And he gets to go up against San Francisco on Monday night. So who knows? Maybe Kirk Cousins will be the final factor for this matchup here. The running backs across the board very solid. I'm not sure if Deontay will stay there, but he's got Roshan, who is probably a better option if he is not there. Montgomery, I imagine, will not play, so that is pretty rough. For Adam. Do have Conklin on a bye, so you'll just have to find a tight end, and then Robert Woods over here and the Dallas defense on a bye. And we all know how well the Dallas defense has done. And then also the Jets defense. So quite a number of bye weeks for these teams here. Just looking at the bench to see who could be coming in. Possibly Pat Fryermuth. Christian Watson may see the field here. And there's obviously probably going to be a couple others. I'm just not thinking it all right now. Man, this is going to be the clash of the Titans. But I think I'm going to, oh gosh. I think I might actually go Fiala here. I was gonna go Adam, but I remembered Montgomery is probably not gonna play. Um, and not quite sure how well you don't even have you don't have any other running backs at the moment, so that's a bit rough for Adam. Gonna have to be. Hopefully, he picks someone up from the waivers to plug in that can at least give a decent outing. So yeah, I'm gonna go Fiala here. Obviously, like I said, still some spots to fill in terms of lineups here, but just with the explosiveness and Travis Etienne, Josh Allen, Travis Kelsey, I think Fiala's got this one. And so we are moving on. And a few seconds ago, just for me, State updated his team to my nuts to play off of Abby's mixed nuts. So that's good stuff. Anyway, moving us on to T. Gordon versus Lincoln, the two hosts with the show with me. Obviously not here at the moment, but they are also former roommates. Well, so we'll see how this goes here. So obviously, right off the bat, you notice the Lincoln's quarterback is not in there. Must be on bye. Ooh, and Adam Thielen's on bye. So Dak Prescott is that quarterback. Nico Collins, Garrett Wilson. Man, just pretty rough timing for Lincoln here for these bye weeks. You do still have a number of solid players. Devonta Smith in the lineup, Zach Moss, which I didn't know if I would be, you didn't think you'd be saying his name in the same sentence as Devonta Smith, but, some spots to fill here. I guess you just really need to fill quarterback, but, quite downgraded on your other roster spots from what you're used to. Over on T-Corn side, um, got Brees Hall on by Tajay Spears, CeeDee Lamb. So you're not unscathed from the bye weeks either, T-Corn. And then Jameer Gibbs currently listed as out. I think he's supposed to play, so we'll see how that goes. Man, this is, again, like I said, no one's going to go out unscathed here, but just looking at what we've got rocking right now, I will be picking T-Corn. I hate to say it, but I don't think it's going to be that close. The projections are currently about 35-point difference. Lincoln still does have to fill that quarterback, so that'll add some points. But, I mean, just looking at what Lincoln's up against here, let's just say I'm glad he scored the most points last week because it might be a bit of a different situation this week. So, moving us on to Sam versus Colin, another case of former roommates. And just looking at it, you can tell this is going to be maybe rough for Sam in terms of bye weeks. So, yeah, like I said, the Cincinnati Bengals is what Sam's team is built around. So, Tyler Boyd is on bye. And then, Alan Lazard. So, the Jets are as well. And T. Higgins and the Bengals defense. And then also just on your bench here, you got Singletary and Bryce Young on bye and Deuce Vaughn. So, it seems like half your team is on bye here. You're going to have to make some waiver moves for sure. You've got, I believe, 2 flexes and a receiver to fill. And, I mean, you don't even have that to plug back in. So you're going to definitely have to make some waiver moves, Sam. And at this point, I'm sure you did, hopefully. Otherwise, like Lincoln, you might have a very bad time this week. Looking over on Colin's side, he seems relatively unscathed from the bye week. You've got DeAndre Hopkins, but I think he hasn't really done much this season. Yeah, wide receiver 40. He's had 3 games I would have maybe been happy with. Definitely won that 22-point game, but the rest of your lineup is fully intact for the most part for what you would be starting on a weekly basis. I'm just going to jump right to it. Colin's going to win this matchup. It's again kind of like a Lincoln T-Corn situation with just the bye weeks and everything going against that player. I feel like it might not be a great time for Sam. So we'll move on to Brian versus Matt. Both former Ultimate Frisbee captains at UWGB. So that's pretty cool. And looking at what we've got rocking now. So we've got Damian Pierce on by for Brian, and DJ Chark didn't even realize he was on someone's lineup, but he is. And then Zach Wilson wouldn't be playing him, but he's on bye. Over on Matt's side, you got Jake Ferguson already on the bench, but he's on bye. And that's it for Matt. So pretty good stuff. Full lineup here. Um, again, I feel like this week has been pretty straightforward in terms of who I think is going to win. And I feel like this matchup is not too different. I know the records are quite far apart, but I think Matt on the season has more points scored. So I'm going to pick Matt. I don't think it's going to be that close. Again, these numbers here can, make you feel a certain way about how big of a difference in scores you might have. And generally, I try to ignore those. But I mean, if you just look at the players here, it's pretty hard to ignore that. Yeah, I feel like Matt's gonna have a good time getting his second victory of the season. And we will just quickly check points for here. Matt 721.22 and Brian 652. So it's not even that close, the terms of total points. So yeah, I definitely think Matt's going to get the victory there, which will bring us on to Michael versus Bruce, another duo of Frisbee captains. And I believe they also used to live together. So yeah, they've got two things going for them. So that's pretty fun. Yeah, right off the bat, not seeing any buys in the lineup. They might have changed their lineups, so you got CJ Stroud, obviously Tony Pollard, and Dalton Schultz for Bruce, and Chiga Conquo. So, he's got currently one playable tight end because he's not on bye. And then over on Michael's slide, it just appears he's got nobody on bye this week. So that's pretty neat. I think he's probably the only team in the league that is not affected at all by this week of buys. And on top of that, he's also seems pretty unaffected by injuries. So Michael's no wonder he's undefeated at the moment. I feel like this is gonna be a pretty close matchup here. Obviously, we've got some very good running backs. Bruce rocking the double Ravens running back situation here. Not sure how well that'll work out for you, Bruce. Obviously, it's a necessity with Pollard on bye. Hey, why don't you just you should go, Bruce? I dare you to go triple Baltimore running back. I bet you won't. That'd be pretty cool though. But you would probably you would go triple running back for the Ravens, and then Lamar would just take all the runs. That's what would happen. But solid players on both sides. I do think Michael has the edge here. I mean, his team is just super good, so it's pretty hard to to beat him. Obviously, that has not been done yet. I do feel like though Bruce may be one of those teams to do it, but I don't think it'll be this week. So yeah, I will be picking Michael here in this matchup, and I just want to quickly check to see what my very first power rankings put Michael to see. So I had him at 4 very initially, so I feel pretty good about that. And I had Bruce at 2. We don't need to get into the rest of it, but I did have Sam at 14. So I feel like for the most part I was pretty accurate with those ones at least. But yeah, that will do it for this week's episode of the Mishpo. Um, you know, I hope everybody has a good week this week. It's rivalry week, so don't be afraid to throw some shit talk in the chat, more than normal. And I hope everybody has a good week except for Caleb. So, with that, thank you and thank you.